Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 10 Count. I'm your host, Kaden Hanafi. I'm joined today by Tamara. Tamara, how are
How
you
you
doing
guys
today?
going? I'm doing swell.
Uh, let's get right into a episode of AEW Dynamite that had a lot.
It felt like a lot was going on all at once.
Yeah, there was a lot on this show, a lot of storylines it was a very storyline centric episode rather than matches. And
Oh
even in the
yeah,
matches that we did have, it was to further storylines.
100%. I agree.
Yeah, so let's start immediately with the opening segment, which feels like forever ago now after the amount of things that happened on the show. Chris Jericho opens up the show. He cuts a promo. He says that he wishes that he did end up shaking Kingston's hand and asks Eddie Kingston to come out. Eddie cuts an emotional promo talking about people that came up to him at FanFest this past Saturday in Orlando. Excuse me. And certain fans said that his article, I think it was Bleacher or PWI. I forgot who did the article. He said that people
It
said the
was
article,
Players Tribune.
Players Tribune, yes, said that it saved their lives, and he got very emotional about it. Jericho offered the handshake, and they shook hands. I was expecting a turn here, but didn't happen there. 2.0 and Garcia, they come out and attack Jericho and Kingston. They're kind of staying away from hitting Jericho really hard. They're like barely
Yeah,
hitting them. They're mainly hitting Kingston, which was a little weird.
I noticed
Santana
that.
Ortiz, Santana Ortiz come out with Floyd the Bat, and they give the bat to Jericho to beat up on Daniel Garcia, and then Jericho turns on Santana and Ortiz. Hager comes out and he joins Chris Jericho, and they have a new faction that is no longer the Inner Circle, the Jericho Appreciation Squad, some Jericho Appreciation, something like that.
Yeah, Jericho
Jericho
appreciates it.
Appreciation Society. Jericho
Yeah,
Appreciation Society. Tamara, how'd you feel about this opening?
I liked it. I thought that like when 2.0 came out and attacked them, right? I didn't really see the point in pretending to attack Jericho. I mean, it's already 4-1. So, and then when Hager came out, I didn't really see the point in pretending like he wasn't on their side because I mean it was Kingston down. That's 5-1. It didn't really matter. Um, so yeah, but other than that, I enjoyed it. I'm glad that the turn happened because it means that the inner circle is no more, which I've been waiting for and hoping for quite some time. And I'd like to see Santana and Ortiz honestly in the tag division, but I get the feeling they're going to be in this feud with Kingston for a while, which kind of flies in the face of what Kingston was saying before about petty beefs keeping Santana and Ortiz from the tag titles. Now they're going to be in Eddie's beef, so we'll see.
I think that they're probably next for the titles, and they're just going to have to handle the thing with Jericho. Because it's not even Eddie's beef, it's Jericho's beef. It's their Jericho effectively kicked them out of the inner circle, not the other way around.
Well, yeah, but I mean, they you can't fire someone who wanted to leave.
I mean, they didn't want to leave. Like, they were fine. They made up with Jericho. That was the thing, is that they
uh,
did end up making up with Jericho. We saw that last week.
oh wait, so you mean they kicked them out? Like he kicked them out today?
Yeah, today was when he kicked them out because they were never kicked out. If you remember, it was either last week or 2 weeks ago. Backstage, they shook hands and they were fine.
Okay, because I interpreted that as Jericho leaving the inner circle.
No, that was like they're good now. They're cool.
I see. Okay, we'll see. Yeah. We can do the next one, which I was kind of surprised came after this.
Yeah, they did a quick championship match between Hangman Adam Page and Dante Martin. Dante Martin is number 2 in the rankings as of this afternoon. That's why they had the match here, Hangman fighting champion. It was fun. It was quick, about maybe 10 minutes or so. Mainly, like most of it was through picture in picture. It was about half and half. And I thought the ending was pretty good. Hangman got like kicked in the back of the head off of with Dante's leg after the buckshot. So yeah, Hangman got an easy victory over Dante, beats a guy who was, I believe he was undefeated, or he had one loss in singles in 2022, which was Powerhouse Hobbs. But besides that, like he had one loss, so it was it's a good win for Hangman, good solid win. Afterwards, you got Hangman Page. He gets Dante back in the ring, gives him his props, says, "I hope I see you back here again." And then Adam Cole came out and challenges him to a 6-man next week. He says he wants to beat him for the belt, and he will beat him for the belt. And there's going to be a 6-man next week. A lot of people were confused about why there's a 6-man instead of Cole just going straight for the belt. And I think it's more of like he wants to just kind of beat him down, because I don't really like there's not really an explanation of why would you not just ask for the championship match next week, other than he wants to get Hangman beaten a little bit.
I would think that, excuse me, for him to get another title shot, I mean, he already lost, right? So if he wants to shoot back up the rankings and get another title shot, pinning the champion is a good way to do that. So challenging him to a tag match is a good way to be able to have him in a match and pin him. So I interpreted it that way. I did think, just based on the way that he said the promo, it was odd for him to say, "I want to beat you for the belt. I'm going to do this. I'm going to challenge you to a 6-man match." And it's like, huh? That was a little bit odd, but yeah, because I mean, he lost. He goes to the back of the line, ideally, right? So if he wants to, shoot back up there, roping the champion into a match where you could potentially pin him, and pinning the champion holds a lot more weight in the rankings, then yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, it seemed like they were picking the Bucks. That's kind of what they teased, but he's not. Later in the show, he says he's actually picking Red Dragon, Kyle O'Reilly, and Bobby Fish. So, and then Hangman did a little tease backstage where he mentioned Jurassic Express being the team he's partnering with instead of Dark Order. So I think that's what it is. It's going to be Jurassic and Hangman taking on the Buck, or taking on the Undisputed Originals, Undisputed Era, whatever you want to call them. It's going to be taking on those guys. And I think the point of that, I feel like it's going to be Red Dragon and Adam Page getting the win. So that way you have Red Dragon against them and you have the championship match, one-on-one tag team.
You mean Red Dragon and Adam Cole get the?
Yeah, I think Red Dragon and Adam Cole get the victory.
Oh, okay, got it.
And it sets up rematches.
I see. And then I think Hangman's probably going to get with the Young Bucks. I think most people would assume it'd be somebody from Dark Order, and I think that Adam Cole kind of alluded to that in his promo. He's like, you can get whatever, dorks you want to get and team with them. He actually did team with Dark Order for something similar. I think that was the match against against the Elite. That was a match against the Elite where he lost his title shot. No shade to Dark Order, but I'm not trusting you with that again. So he's probably going to hit the Young Bucks.
No, he said that he'd already talked to Jurassic Express. He told that to Dark Order. He said, "I just passed them, and they said they would be in the match with me."
I feel like, because really, if they wanted you to know like who was going to be in the match, I feel like they might hold it for a surprise. I think it's possible that that's a swerve, and we still get Young Bucks.
I don't think they do the Young Bucks switch so early, because I think that Young Bucks switch is happening with Kenny Omega, not with,
when he returns. Do you think he comes back anytime soon?
I mean, he still has 6 to 8 weeks after he has the hernia surgery, which hasn't happened yet. But I think that for now, I think it's too early to do the split with Adam Cole. I think you got to let it play out a little bit, because it's still really quick that they would go into it. If they went into it next week, that's too early.
It's too early. A lot of things seem like they've been. I know you said off camera, it seems like a hard reset. A lot of things have felt kind of that way. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at a lot of what happened tonight. They build their they build their splits up for weeks. They've been splitting up the AHFO thing for 4 to 6, 7 weeks now. The Jericho split has been set up for the last 2 to 3 months since that thing started, which has gone back to December at least.
That should have happened way earlier than it did, but yeah.
It got delayed because I think it got delayed because Kingston fractured his orbital bone.
No, I mean the inner circle split.
Oh yeah, but that, I mean, with this specific feud, that took a few months, and I think they barely scratched the surface with the feud with Red Dragon, and it makes way more sense for it to be Kenny. It doesn't make a lot of sense for it to be Hangman that they go with. I think if Kenny's out I think it's if you want to do Hangman, that's fine. I don't think you should do it this close or this early on. I think you need to wait till it's closer to Double or Nothing.
I think that if the Young Bucks reunite with Adam Page before Kenny comes back, that's like a built-in storyline. Because when Kenny comes back, he's going to go to his guys, the Young Bucks, who were his friends when he left, and then he's going to be caught in the middle because obviously he's coming back for his title. He wants to chase his title again. So if Hangman Page is still the champion at that point, we'd see the Young Bucks kind of caught in the middle because they made good with Hangman. So I think it's a lot of ways that could go with it. It's interesting.
I think remember, there's this something that the Bucks specifically said was they will not be involved with Hangman. They wouldn't fight against him. Yeah. But I think that does also mean that they're not going to fight with him. I think they don't want any. They want to be done, and they said that in the feud with when Kenny was going up against Hangman in November for Full Gear. They were saying, "Leave us out. We don't want anything to do with Hangman. We want to move on from this."
Right. But I think that's a that is true, but I feel like that's that's the liaison, like the beginning. Mm-hmm. Like the beginning is we don't hate you. And then that can essentially lead to not only do we not hate you, we're rebuilding a friendship. So I don't think that storyline is essentially nixed, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, but in order for that to be a thing, Kenny would need to come back as a heel. If they were to do that, and Kenny's not coming back as a heel. Kenny's coming back as a face.
I would think that Kenny would need to come back because Hangman's a face.
Yeah, Kenny is coming back as a face. You can't you heard the pop when they first played Kenny's music, and it was Don Callis. So you can't do a feud between Kenny and Hangman. You have to do Kenny and Adam Cole. Kenny took the spot. Was that
aired, by the way, or was that on the?
That was on the buy-in, and it was seen. Yeah, it was aired. But yeah, you can't come back and do Kenny and Hangman. You have to do Cole. Cole took the spot of Kenny whenever Kenny went away for his surgeries and take time off, and Cole brought in his own guys and basically got rid of the Bucks and kind of kicked them out of their own group. It makes way more sense. There's more fuel you can add in it with Kenny. There's not as many storyline ties if you did Hangman. There are still enough, but with Kenny being a former leader of the Bullet Club and Hangman not being that, he was never a leader.
No,
and he was the other Adam. Yeah, Cole wasn't a leader of the Bullet Club, but he was a leader of Undisputed Era. So it's at least a leader versus a leader, and it's the two faction leaders. Hangman was never the leader of a faction.
So you think Adam Cole takes the belt off Hangman?
I don't think he takes the belt off Hangman. I think Adam Cole loses the rematch. And then I think Kenny could cost Adam Cole in the rematch. I think they wanted Kenny to cost Adam. I think Kenny was supposed to cost Adam Cole in the first match, but he wasn't ready. He was supposed to be ready, but then COVID delayed him. And so they went through with the plans and said, okay, he'll be ready by the rematch. And that's why they did the Don Callis thing, was to give us an inkling that he's probably about to be back soon. So I think Kenny costs Adam, and wherever they do it, they're not going to do it at St. Patty's Day Slam. We know they're not doing it there. They could do it in Austin. They could do it in Columbia, South Carolina, which is kind of home territory for Cole. And it's right next to North Carolina. So that makes a little bit of sense. They could wait till Battle of the Belts. They have a lot of opportunities to do it. But I do think Kenny costs Cole that rematch. And they're doing Hangman versus somebody else at Double or Nothing. And that's who's going to take the belt off of Hangman. But I don't think it's Cole.
That's a good theory.
Right now, it shouldn't be Cole. If you were going to do Cole, you should have done it at Revolution.
I agree. It shouldn't be Cole. But when you said Cole and Hangman, I thought that was for the belt.
I think Cole and Hangman will be for the belt. No, I think Cole and Hangman, the rematch will be for the belt, but I don't think Cole's winning. I think Kenny's.
I'm sorry. I said Cole and Hangman. I meant Cole and Omega.
Cole and Omega will not be for the belt. I think that'll be. I think
Yeah.
it's either going to be Cole and Omega, or it's going to be the Elite versus Undisputed Era in a 6-man.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think is more possible. I think that's actually way more possible, and that's very likely going to be for those ROH 6-man belts.
ROH is also a thing here. We'll see how that plays out.
We spent a lot of time talking about that. Let's go into our next thing. There's a lot of really short matches and a lot of talking on this show. Mox and Danielson versus the Workhorsemen. It was cool to see the Workhorsemen there. It was great. Good. Mox and Danielson had good chemistry. Danielson wins with a label lock. William Regal does an interview with Shivani afterwards and explains his reasoning, and basically just that they're the perfect combination and he wanted to support them. A lot of people are questioning why Regal would be with them and saying that it's stupid for two people who don't need mouthpieces to have a mouthpiece. Regal's not the mouthpiece.
He's part of the... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's leading the faction and he's going to help train the people. It's the same as Arn with Cody or Tully with FTR. Those people could all talk for themselves and they still had somebody with them. It's not...
Brian made it very clear that teaming with Jon Moxley, his goal was, we're going to be tag champions and all this. He's like, no, I want me and you to team, get a group of young guys and build them up. So when they bring in William Regal, it's not to be a mouthpiece for them as a duo. It's to be a coach for the faction that they're putting together and to be there to help the young guys. And I feel like Regal made that kind of clear when he was talking.
Yep.
So
that's one of the things he said. He helped train both of these guys, and he thinks that they're the best duo. And he was basically he was hinting that he wants this to be his legacy. Since he said he's going to die soon. He basically was like, yeah, I don't have long left being in this business. I'm either going to die or be pushed around and have a feeding tube stuck down my throat. So I want I want a lasting legacy. And that was
really morbid, by the way.
Mox and Danielson.
I was like, geez.
I mean, that's what he was saying.
Yeah, he did say that, yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. I thought it was good. Good setup for whatever they're gonna do with those two guys, Mox and Danielson. I hope they don't go after the tag belts. I don't want that. I want them to be the leaders of New ROH. I think that's a really good role for them. Ooh, I wouldn't mind if they go against the Briscoes and take the ROH championships off of those guys. I think that's
I don't think that they go for the tag belts. I think they have guys in their faction who goes for the tag belts, but it won't be them.
Well, they were saying that they're going to be a tag team, and I think they're eventually going to bring in a faction. But right now, it's just those two guys because they mentioned Garcia. They mentioned Yuta, but those guys, Yuta is good with the Dark Order, and Garcia just got a new faction tonight. So I don't think they're adding anybody yet. I think right now they're just going to be a tag team, and they're eventually going to get people. And I think the best thing you could do is bring them to New ROH, do that, and then have their first recruit be the ROH champion, Jonathan Gresham.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, have Danielson have them take the belts off of the Briscoes first, because there's a big issue with the Briscoes and ROH and AEW. There's some issues there that I've been hearing about, and they're probably not going to sign with New ROH. So you got to get the belts off of the Briscoes. So
if they're smart, they will. But
yeah. But I mean, I don't know what's going on with that. But get the belt off. I would get the belts off of the Briscoes.
Yeah.
And then Danielson goes to Gresham and says, "Let's fight." And I think Gresham needs to beat Danielson, or they go to a draw, whatever. And that is when Gresham joins their
Does
stable.
That match take place on Dynamite, or does that match take place in Ring of Honor?
I think that takes place on the first. I only say that
because I think that Danielson and Moxley are two of their biggest and most prominent stars. It's good to get them out the way. It's good to get them out the way because you got a lot of people who are like that in AEW, and it does clear space on the card. I do not know if Tony Khan fully commits to them being I think that they still show up Dynamite, Rampage, and then ROH, maybe you do that. I don't know. Actually, when would you record ROH? We don't know.
There's a lot of things, like a lot of variables that go into whatever they're going to do with ROH, but I do think that they should do that on the first AEW run ROH pay per view that's not Super Card of Honor, because we don't know if AEW is going to be producing that show yet. We still don't know. That's really complicated what's going on with that show. But I mean, if you can do Danielson and Gresham at our Super Card of Honor, you do it. But I know you can't because you have Bandito and Gresham. But there's a lot of
I mean,
complicated things
either
with
way,
that
like
show.
Sam Punk said, I
But
trust
yeah,
Tony Khan will handle it.
I mean, I think if you want to build ROH, you throw guys like Mox, Danielson, Regal. You make those guys your foundation and build Gresham up as a top world champion by aligning him with Danielson and Mox. And then you start building up those younger guys. Get a guy in there to be the TV champion. Get a guy in there to be the pure champion. And have that be a guy like a Daniel Garcia as the pure champion. Or as the TV champion, get Yuta, get Moriarty, some of the bigger guys. Get like a Brian. You have Brian Cage for another year at least. Get Brian Cage. You have a lot of options. So those people that aren't being focused on a lot on Dynamite that still need time to go work for a little bit and get a foundation, put them on ROH. Put them in feuds with guys like a Moxley and a Danielson. And that then in turn builds those guys up and makes them bigger stars for when they eventually dethrone Moxley and Danielson. Then Moxley and Danielson can get the hell out, go back to Dynamite, go back to AEW proper, and you have a new ROH immediately going in full steam.
I agree. I also think that they should do. I don't think ROH should really travel. I think they should find like a place to film.
Orlando, Universal. I think
Nice.
that's where they're going to go. I think that's where they're going to end up going. This
where were we? Brian Danielson, John
Wheeler Yuta and Pac had a fun match. Pac won.
That's all you need to know. Both of these were glorified squashes, really.
I mean, most of the matches on this card were glorified squashes, kinda.
Yeah.
Nothing was long. Everything was 5 to 10 minutes.
Exactly. Even the main event, which we'll get.
Yep.
We'll get to.
I'm gonna go through a lot of promos because there's not another match for another 30 minutes on this show. We had I told you about the Cutler Cam, FTR fired Tully Blanchard, cool. Andrade Hardy Family Order board meeting. Andrade goes to fire Matt Hardy. He holds a vote. Private Party turns on him. They did the thumbs up, and then when Hardy's back was turned, they did the thumbs down. Beat the hell out of him. Sting Darby come down to help out Matt Hardy. Jeff Hardy debuts. We all knew that was coming. And they have the song because WWE does not own that song, and I'm very happy. Cool. Hardy Boys are there. Tamara, quick thoughts on the Hardy Boys.
Right. So I did not see Brian. I think it was Brian Pillman that tweeted something that spoiled Hardy's return. Well, not really return debut. I didn't see that, so I was able to be in the moment, get the pop. It was really nice. It's great to see Jeff. We knew he was coming in. I love that they have the Hardy Boys theme, which, by the way, is not owned by WWE. Is I assume that or not assume, I know that his individual theme, Writing on the Wall, that one, I know that one's owned by WWE. I also know that he wanted to use that one, but it is what it is.
Okay,
it's
I
great
have
to
something. I have it from Fightful Select. I just want to talk about the theme while you're on that, just to clarify things. So the song is called Loaded. It's not owned by WWE. It is produced by Zach Tempest, and it's appeared on a bunch of different things. They're just licensing it out like Cult of Personality. WWE does own No More Words. They cannot use No More Words. That's basically not going to happen. And they did use Loaded because AEW got the rights very quickly. They licensed the entire library that it was part of. So technically, AEW could use Hardcore and Crash Holly's theme. Those are also themes that they own. This is according to Fightful Select.
So if they, I'm assuming like existing licenses aren't affected by that, because I mean I'm sure on the network or a Peacock they have that song playing for
Cult of
Crash.
Personality is on Peacock. So
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's nice to hear. Like I said, it was good for him to come out to that theme. People knew exactly what it was. They knew what was going on. Um, it's kind of it reminds me of when Danielson debuted. And everybody, I was waiting for Final Countdown, and then when they played that, I was like, oh, okay. And then Tony Khan came out and was like, yeah, they wanted 100K per play. Like, they was wilding. So
yeah.
they couldn't get, you know, Final Countdown. But so to get like the familiar sound was really nice. Yeah, I'm excited for what Jeff is going to do. It was funny the way that Private Party turned on Matt. The thumbs up, thumbs down, it reminds me of the Evolution when Batista gave Triple H thumbs up, thumbs down. So
Hmm.
it's a thing that we know in the business. So it was nice.
Yeah. We got 2 matches announced for Rampage. Shane Swerve Strickland. I gotta get used to calling him Shane Swerve Strickland again. It's getting me a few times. Swerve the Realist is taking on Tony Nese on Rampage. And this is kind of interesting because they did have a few matches on 205 Live, and that was the reference that they were talking about. And I kind of liked that. They referenced that they were wrestling on Fridays a decent amount, and said now they're going to wrestle again on a Friday. I liked that. A little cool little touch. And
Yeah,
Keith Lee is going to fucking destroy QT Marshall on Friday.
of course. Um, yeah, that there's not much to say about that.
Yeah. We got an in-ring interview with Wardlow with Tony Schiavone. Says he doesn't care about the contract with Maxwell, but that he wasn't going to touch him. He was just going to go along with his life and go win the championship next week. And then after that, he was going after all of the championships. I like this promo from Wardlow. It was a really good face promo. First, like real promo he's actually cut. I thought it was good. I
Yeah,
thought it was pretty good. I
I was
wouldn't get him a
surprised by
manager.
how good he was. I was
Yeah,
surprised by how good he
he
was. I
doesn't
gotta
need a
say,
manager. Let him. He can talk himself.
he can. I was expecting I was expecting it to be him to not be as good as he was, just because I was like, well, they don't have him talk, not even like really backstage. Like he doesn't say a word, so I was like, I think that's for a reason, but I don't know. Maybe they just didn't want to do it. He did good here. I like the fact that he did not get interrupted. Nobody came out. You let him tell his story. You let him hit his bullet points. The crowd was very receptive to it. Wardlow, they've got something with him 100%. He's turning into quite the babyface. Have him beat Sammy 100%. You strike while the iron's hot. Have him beat Sammy, and then he can feud with MJF actually for the TNT title. And he could beat MJF. MJF,
Have him beat Sammy.
yeah.
Sammy ain't the TNT champion.
Oh, I fucked up. That's so true. Oh wait, no. We'll save that.
We'll save that.
We'll
Let's
save
go
that.
into yeah.
We'll save that.
Jurassic Express defended their tag team championships against the Acclaimed. Quick match. It wasn't maybe 10-15 minutes, not long. I think they're trying to turn the Acclaimed face because their raps haven't been as like savage or mean. They're more just like dissing things in the news. So I
Yeah.
think they're turning face. The Gun Club are ringside, and I think they're going with Gun. I think they're going to do Gun Club versus the Acclaim to turn the Acclaim face. I think that's what they're going with. But this was good. Jurassic Express won with that a variation of a Doomsday device. I really like that as their finisher, and I hope they stick with that. The other one's fine, like the assisted powerbomb, but I like this a lot more.
I agree. Um, Sorry, that made me excited to talk about the main event. Let me get back on track. But I like Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus as tag champs. I know that their reign hasn't been the most popular, but I think that you can always count on them to have a fun match. I do think that the Acclaimed are officially face now, and the crowd is receptive to it. We were there live when they came out. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
popped. It was fun. I popped. Their raps are fun. It was especially after certain speed bumps like suspensions and all that. I feel like they've really eased into being like great TV guys and just making everything entertaining. And that's really like what makes like I feel like they know how to one get attention on them, and two, like when you leave a show you're going to think about, oh, what did Max Caster say in his rap? Like they know how to make themselves memorable on a card that a lot happened, including a title change. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got some Rampage spoilers. It's not even a spoiler.
I'm down to
It's
hear
not.
them.
I'm not gonna say it. It's not really a spoiler. It's more just something about the Hardys. And I like what they did. I like
Yeah,
what they did. I'm
we
not
shouldn't
gonna.
say it on live.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I won't say spoilers. Just say it's like something with the Hardys, but it's
I
not like a
think
huge spoiler.
I'm
But
pretty sure Rampage is still going as we
it
speak.
is. They're
Like,
filming right
yeah,
now. Yeah, they still got another 20, 30 minutes of filming.
yeah.
Yeah. Next up, Thunder Rosa versus Layla Hirsch. We all knew Thunder Rosa was winning. Layla was in control for a lot of it. Red Velvet came down to continue her feud with Layla because that's not over. Her feud with Chris and Red Velvet, and Rosa got the Thunder Bomb, Rosa Firebomb. I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm tired, but she hit that and won. And Britt Baker cut a promo. Says Jamie Hayter versus Mercedes Martinez is on Friday on Rampage. I'm hyped for that, and I'm hyped for the steel cage match. I think Rosa is going to win it. It's in her hometown of San Antonio. Yeah. She has to. This is it.
Agree. I know we both said that we thought Rosa would win at Revolution, but the closer we got to the pay-per-view, I actually kind of switched that just because I don't know. It felt like they really rushed into this, and there was not a lot of hype. And I feel like Rosa deserves to win in a setting where it would get the most I guess pop possible in our hometown. We gotta love that, and we get a cage match. We know that last time they had an extreme match, it was a match of the year. So I don't know. I'm excited to see that. I liked what Britt had to say in her promo. She's like, it's a conspiracy. How does she suddenly get to pop back up and challenge for the title again like Boogeyman? But, tell it to your therapist because she's coming for that belt in Texas.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people complaining about that, and they're like, well, why does she deserve an eliminator why does she deserve an eliminator match? Because that's the only match she's lost all year to the champion and with a lot of interference. So whenever you lose with a lot of interference, they give you a way to get back to it. But you have to at least win it. And she had to beat somebody who was also in the tops of the rankings, Layla Hirsch. Yeah. She had to beat Layla in order to get there in the first place. So she was not handed a title opportunity after leaving. And the people who complained about that are the same people who are perfectly fine with people in WWE losing and getting a championship match the next week. So
it makes literally nobody in WWE gets a title match for any specific reason. Goldberg can show up and be like, I'm getting a title match. The fuck?
This booking made a lot of sense. They weren't gonna it's unlike AEW to do. They don't usually do it, but it's fine that they did it this way. I don't love it. I still wish she I wish they just did the steel cage there. I know why they didn't do the steel cage because they already had a lot of gimmick-y matches on the cards. They didn't want to do the steel cage there. So then I just wouldn't have had the match, honestly. I would have done that tag team match that they did. I would have done on Dynamite. I would have done that on the pay-per-view. Or just had them off the card, cut one match. And then just do the steel cage in San Antonio. But that's how we got there. It's fine. It's in storyline. It makes sense. It's unusual for AEW, but I think it's fine if they do it every once in a while, do something like this.
Very unusual. Last I saw, I think they gave Moxley a rematch because I think it was Kenny Omega that cheated and took the title from him. But yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. I think that Britt knows that she's losing the title because she's been off for a few weeks, like it seems, in ring wise, not talking on the mic.
Oh yeah, she knows. She knows.
Yeah, she knows.
She's probably known for
she's winding down. Yeah,
since she won the belt, she knew. The other thing I want to mention about the Cole thing with Paige, this is the first time somebody will lose their championship opportunity for the men's championship and get a rematch without having to win this is the first time they're going to get a rematch after losing their opportunity. Rosa had to at least win another match. Cole doesn't have to do that. He's just going to get another one.
Yeah.
Which
And
again,
yeah, go
like
ahead.
if you do it rarely, it's fine. Don't make a habit of it.
And it seems like it's even on this show. They seem to be acknowledging a lot the real life couples. So with
Hmm.
her away from the title, I think we see more of Britt with Adam Cole. Um,
Yeah.
but then yeah, we'll talk more about that kind of stuff in the main
Yeah.
event as well.
The other thing I would not mind, to be honest, next week in that 6-man tag is that Cole and Red Dragon actually do end up losing. Like that the Bucks cost. I think it'd be cool if the Bucks cost them that match and Cole doesn't get a rematch. He loses and they don't get it anymore.
Of course not. You can't. Yeah.
I think that
If
would
he
be
loses, you
really
can't.
that yeah, I think that'd be a really good twist because if he is with Jurassic Express, it is Hangman Jurassic Express. That means at least one champion has to be pinned, which I'm
Yeah.
never a fan of. I don't like champions getting pinned ever. So I think that also is a story that makes sense. Is just have the Bucks cost them the match.
Or have Cole pin Hangman Page, and that's his justification for a rematch.
But I don't like champ. It's like the same thing. Don't like champions being pinned. There's got to be
Well,
something
yeah.
screwy. It has to be screwy. Nothing
Well,
should be
it,
clean.
it doesn't have to be clean, but you have him pin him if you like, and then you justify that with the
Don't pin
rematch.
Hangman. Pin Jungle Boy. If you're pinning anybody, pin Jungle Boy.
No,
Do
that
not
oh,
pin
well, you
Hangman.
can't really pin Luchasaurus. He's a big guy. That
You
kind
can't
of like
pin.
hurts.
It's gotta be. You got Jungle Boys. It's Jungle Boy
Rip
or a
Jungle
member of
Boy.
Red Dragon. I think Bobby Fish is someone who can take the pin and be fine.
They need wins too, though. Red Dragon.
Yeah, but just have the Bucks not cost Cole. Have Bucks cost Red Dragon because they still hate them.
Sounds yeah, that
or
makes
or the
sense.
Bucks like inadvertently cause it, and then that furthers the rift. Because now you're seeing the rift between Cole and the Bucks starting. So have the Bucks accidentally cost Cole and Red Dragon the match.
Yeah, or have Dark Order come out and help. Who knows?
There's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah.
Let's go to our main event. There's not a lot to talk about here because this thing was all of like maybe 3 minutes of actual action.
Yeah.
Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky. You got whatever the dipshit is, Dana Orlovsky, I think, is who's married to Paige Van Zant, and Paige Van Zant at ringside. And Sammy goes for a 630 through onto Scorpio Sky, who was on a table outside the ring. Sammy crashes right through it. Scorpio got out of the way. So Ty came out. They did throughout the commercial break in picture. Sammy's selling the injury. He ends up saying he wants to continue fighting. He's about to get the win, and he goes for a shooting star press after the go to hell, the GTH, and Scorpio gets the knees up. Lambert gets on the apron to distract the ref so Ethan Page could get Sammy and knock him out with, I think he was going to knock him out with the title. Ty gets Ethan down, and then Page jumps Ty, and I saw that coming from a mile away. I was pretty confident that was the ending. But yeah, Scorpio Sky in the ring hits that TKO on Sammy Guevara, and Scorpio Sky is the new TNT champion. I loved this. I think like I don't love overbooking, but I thought it worked really well to keep Sammy strong. You set up a feud with Ty and Paige. You gave Scorpio a win that I think he very much needed. He needed to get this belt. I'm so happy for him. And you protected Sammy in the best way possible while losing this match. I thought it ended up working out really well. And I did actually really enjoy it. It was wacky, but I thought it worked fine. It worked
Well,
really
I thought
well.
it made sense for Sammy's character. He's a very flashy, risk-taking, over-the-top guy. That ended up being, his undoing, which I like the story that they told with that. He wanted to go for his shooting star press, really didn't need to. It ended up costing him the match. Like I said earlier, they acknowledged Ty Conti as his girlfriend, which is something they haven't done before that I can remember on screen. So they can, Scorpio can team with Paige. She can team with Sammy, and they can do mixed tag matches. Like you said, it sets up a feud between Tay and Paige, so that's nice for the women's division. I didn't expect this, but as you said, I'm very happy about it. I'm a believer in Scorpio Sky. I know a lot of people, or at least from what I see, tend to lean more towards Ethan Page. in their team. So if you would think one guy would get like a singles push, you'd think it would be Ethan. But I do like Scorpio Sky. Not that I don't like Ethan Page, but it was Scorpio that had that match with Jericho for the AEW World Title. All those, I
Yeah.
think that was in their first year. That was in 2019.
Yeah. It was
And
real.
I
That was like
really loved that
November.
match. And the
Yeah. That
crowd
was like
was
a.
behind him.
Yeah. They're
Yeah,
much more. They're much more in on Scorpio. They always have been.
always have
And
been. Even though
They're
somebody
gonna.
will probably tell you, oh, they're only doing it because they criticized them about their birth.
They've
I'm like, no,
no.
they've always liked
They've
Scorpio
always
Sky.
remember. Yeah. Scorpio won the Face of the Revolution ladder match. He was the first person to pin Chris Jericho in AEW. He's done a lot, and he
The
has
first
not.
AEW Tag Team Champion.
And he had not lost a singles match in 364 days before tonight. The last singles match he lost was to Darby Allin in his championship match that he had last year after winning the Face of the Revolution ladder match. So it worked. I really enjoyed this. I like that Scorpio won. I'm afraid he's going to lose to Wardlow and be a transitional champion, but I don't think Wardlow's winning. I think MJF's going to cost him the match.
Probably, yeah. If Sammy was still champion, I could see that. I want, as I said before, when I said I want Wardlow to win the title. I think that MJF can come in and try to screw him, and then he just kind of powers through, just kind of showing his level of skill. Um, but and I thought that they were gonna do that. Uh, when Sammy was still champion. I still, as much as I like Scorpio Sky, I think that it's kind of like what CM Punk said. In wrestling, it's always now instant gratification. You have to strike when the iron's hot. Wardlow is hot right now, so you have to put the title on him, and just kind of go with it from there. And you just have to ride the train to where it goes. If I'm Tony, I put the title on Wardlow. Sorry, Scorpio Sky, but you can continue to have him feud with him if you want. But the real money is Wardlow and MJF, and they can feud. I think that MJF, however, might, after this feud with Wardlow, I think he transitions into the world title picture.
So that's gonna be where we're gonna differ for next week. I do think MJF is costing him the match. I think it makes way more sense. I understand why you would strike the iron while the iron is hot with Wardlow. I don't think you do it. I don't.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you have Wardlow beat MJF in their feud?
I have Wardlow. I do think you have Wardlow beat MJF. I do think that's important. I do think Wardlow should probably beat MJF in that feud if they do it, and then you can do Wardlow going back to Scorpio or whoever's champ at the time. I just don't know if you do Wardlow as the champ. I think it's better to do Wardlow and MJF now. I think that's the better feud you go into immediately.
Well, I was thinking that they do both. Because remember, MJF was like, I'll allow you to keep it, meaning that he won't like beat him and take it from him, or won't like tell him he needs to. So I was thinking, oh, they're gonna like feud over the title. But then you had Scorpio win, which threw a bit of a curveball in that.
The TNT is the workhorse belt. That is their workhorse belt. And Wardlow won't give you those matches. I don't think he's a fit for the TNT belt. I wouldn't mind him winning.
Well, you had Miro win it, and Miro's far.
But Miro can work. Wardlow can't work those long matches yet.
I thought when you said workhorse, you meant like they're more of like a like a Darby Sammy kind of type, and like a Cody.
No, I meant like because Brody Lee was a champion, and he's also a guy who can work. Wardlow has not worked those long workhorse type matches. It doesn't matter the size of the guy. That's not what I mean by workhorse. Okay. I mean somebody who can work a 15-20 minute match weekly.
Have we seen him try?
We've seen him have a few with hosses, but that's it. And I just don't know if that's the right thing for the belt. I would not mind Wardlow winning. I just have a feeling that they're not going to do a transitional champion. They haven't done it yet in the company.
Won't. They probably won't.
Yeah, they haven't done a transitional champion yet.
But if I was Tony, I would. Sorry, Scorpio Sky, if you're watching.
I think it's, I don't know. Like, I think you just I don't think you pull the trigger on Wardlow having a championship yet. I think you give him one big win before he goes there.
We'll see. Well, because the only problem is that, you say you give him the big win with MJF and then he goes for the TNT title.
Or he goes for the world.
I was gonna say, if you beat MJF, you send him to the world title picture. To me,
Yeah, I think you could send him to the world. I think there's a lot of complications. I think what could be a really good story is they're gonna do Punk and Hangman next. Have Punk turn heel. Have Punk be a dastardly heel when he beats Hangman. Have Punk hold that belt over the summer, and have Wardlow dethrone Punk at All Out in Chicago.
I like it. And I always said that I wanted Hangman to get beat by like a big guy. Like I always kind of saw that as making sense for him. So if Wardlow beat Hangman, I wouldn't hate it, but he's not ready. I like the Punk idea.
I think Punk. Yeah, I think Punk could. And the interesting thing about, and I saw someone else. I'm sort of I'm taking half the idea and adding Wardlow to it. But I saw someone say what would be a great story is if you do Summer of Punk, you have him be such a dastardly heel that even Chicago boos him at All Out because of how of a shit heel he is, and you have some super hot babyface be the one that beats him in Chicago, where the Chicago crowd turns on Punk. And I think you could get that with Wardlow. I think you
It
could.
depends how it. I like your idea. It depends how things play out. It would take a lot to get Chicago to choose Wardlow over Punk, as much as people like Wardlow.
The thing about Chicago is that they're very smarky. So
Yeah.
if you get them on your side and you say, hey, like basically like you don't tell them, but you get like you make that the thing that Wardlow's gonna take down the dastardly heel that he almost beat months ago. You build that, I think Chicago would buy in. And I think they would
Even if they don't, it'd
do
still
it.
be even if they don't, it'd still be interesting because AEW's not too fussed about heel face. You can cheer Punk all you want, but that just creates more excitement for the match.
Yeah, I mean, I do it. I think that's
Yeah,
a really interesting
I like
story.
that idea. I like that idea.
Or you just do it that like, and then if it doesn't work and the crowd decides not to cheer Wardlow and still cheer Punk, you say that the crowd is brainwashed by like what they did with Money in the Bank, right? Where Punk was supposed to be the heel. You say that the crowd is brainwashed by CM Punk and that the city of Chicago is a bunch of shitheads.
I'm like, sure. They tried to say Punk was a cult leader, kind of stuff. I remember that.
Just say that he like what they did with MJF and Long Island. You have like you can do stories around it that are still really interesting, and that's what I want to see. I do really want to see a Punk reign with the belt. I really want to see a Summer of Punk.
I'd like to see it. Yeah,
he gets one. Like he's almost done. I think he's almost done. Who I know some, a person. I'm not going to call the person's name. I know they're not going to listen anyways. But this motherfucker said that CM Punk is out of shape.
I guarantee the person who said that to you is out of shape, but keep going.
That person is out of shape, 100%. But you cannot watch CM Punk go in the ring and say that guy's out of shape. What in the hell is wrong with you?
No, listen, man. People are so. It's like CM Punk said. They're weird WWE fans who are completely, ironically brainwashed, and anything that strays from WWE's cookie cutter mold, that's bad. Out of shape. I'm like, he's out of shape. He's having a 20-30 minute match and he's not blown up and he's still going, hitting all his moves, not missing a beat. What are you talking about? Like, come on. I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
I rewatched Rampage, or I rewatched like the first maybe. I got halfway through Anna and Jade, or Ty and Jade. I got halfway through Ty and Jade. I thought Revolution was a fantastic show, and I stand by that after watching those first three matches. Those first three matches are all 5-star matches to me. Except the ladder is maybe a 4.75, but I thought Eddie.
I was like, are you including the buy-in?
I did not go back and watch the buy-in.
Okay.
Yet I do want to rewatch Chris and Layla because friend of the show Jeff Flipman said that was a horrible match. And I completely disagree. I thought that match was really good.
Statlander and Layla Hirsch?
Yes,
that was not horrible. I can see somebody not liking that match, but to say that was horrible,
if you don't like women's wrestling,
he also hates like smaller wrestlers. Layla Hirsch is the epitome of that.
Well, yeah, she's 4'11".
Yeah. So of course
I really like that match. I need to watch it again for sure. I want to watch. I do want to watch the buy-in again, and I want to watch the rest of the Revolution card. But I thought Eddie and Jericho was fantastic. That's a 5 for me. I really liked that.
can't give the ladder match a 5 because of I'm not gonna say that match was a botch fest because it wasn't, but the botches that did happen were so prevalent
So
that it
I went,
ruined a lot.
I remember because we talked about that there. When I went back and watched it, I didn't really see any botches. I saw the botched
Do you
power
remember
bomb.
how I told you? Yeah, on the ladder. Do you remember how I
Yes,
told you?
that
I
was
was
a
like,
botch.
the people at home don't realize what's happening in the ring, which was bullshit. I was like, what's happening in the ring is bullshit because they were so focused on Sammy. It took him like 10 minutes to complete that spot. They were so focused on Sammy jumping from the apparatus with I think it was Isaiah Cassidy onto the tables. But in the ring,
This is a completely different match that we're talking about now.
the ladder match.
No, that was in the 6-man tornado tag.
Are
Sammy
you
and
sure?
Isaiah Cassidy?
Oh, sorry, not Sammy and Isaiah. I'm sorry. The camera was on who was it? Who was at the top of the stage doing
The 3 Haas guys.
There we go. I
Yes.
conflated that. The
Yeah, which
camera
happens.
was on.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
just a
on
thing
them
about.
for like
Yeah, that's
10
a
minutes.
thing about 6-man. Yeah, it was like it felt a lot longer. It was like a minute and a half when you actually go look.
It felt a lot longer. I was like,
Yes, it
this
felt a lot
camera's on
longer
them
in the
for
moment,
very long.
100%.
But and then Orange Cassidy is on the floor. His arm is hurt. You can't. They're like you can't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is out for a few weeks. They did say that. It's no surgery required, but yeah, he did injure his shoulder. I mean, yeah, it did. There were certain parts of it that looked a little weird. Like there was a
but
part
I
with
feel like it
Christian,
came off better on
but
camera. I guarantee
yes,
it.
it
That
did.
match looked great
Yeah,
on camera.
it looked a lot better, and that's how a lot of ladder matches are.
That's
A lot
true.
of those type of matches where you're just kind of standing there. It's like a Royal Rumble comes off so much better on camera than when you're there in person.
Yeah, and I liked Keith Lee in the match. I felt like he did did his thing.
Yeah, I definitely thought the ladder match should have been a little longer. I know a lot of people were like, this show felt like a million years, and I'm like, I don't necessarily agree because the 4 hours to me flew by. Being there, I thought it flew by, and there were actually matches that there's nothing I would have cut time on. There are things I would have just given more time to. There's not a single match I would have cut any second.
The match did not. I would not cut any time from any matches as well. I would change matches around because I felt like the pacing made it drag.
Yes, the pacing was weird.
The women's match was egregiously misplaced for the women's title.
It was placed there because Rosa was not winning.
Probably.
And
that
because
was
Rosa was not winning, I don't mind where it was. I would have put the dog collar match in the spot of the tag team match. I would not have started with Eddie and Jericho.
That was odd. That was odd. I thought that they were going to start with the ladder match. That was what I thought.
There were 3 matches that had like a similar vibe, and that was Mox, Danielson, Punk, and MJF, and Jericho and Eddie all had similar, more brawling vibes. Mm-hmm. So I think all of those 3 really needed to be spread out. And so I think the biggest issue was that you put the dog collar, especially dog collar and Mox and Danielson, those were really close together. So I would have just separated those a little bit more. Like I would have probably put Mox and Danielson. Like I would have maybe done Mox and Danielson first, then go into Jericho Eddie, then do the ladder match, and then put the dog collar
match came off better on camera as well. So I would change the placing of that because I felt like I feel like that match zapped a lot of energy out of the crowd. Like specifically.
I was fine with where it was placed. The only thing is maybe place it earlier, but if you place it earlier, then you suck energy out too quickly.
That's true.
And that's something AEW does a lot is they start with a lot of high energy matches immediately. Yeah. And they need to fix that because they started with Jericho and Eddie, which was based off of crowd energy. Then a tag match that had a lot of crazy shit. then a ladder match that had a lot of crazy shit, and then dead. And then like slower, and then they
The
tried
ladder
building
match
you
coming
back
after
up.
the tag match, I hated that. Well, I didn't. I
I
was
didn't like
having fun
that.
at the show, but when the more the show went on, I went, man, they should have saved one of those two. Like
I would have, yeah.
I
So I
even
think
blended them together because they came
the
like one
first,
after the other.
I think the first two are fine if you place those there. Then you go into the dog collar. And then to bring the crowd back after the dog collar, you don't want to do a ladder because you don't want to do super violent again. So then I think you do maybe you do Rosa and Britt there.
Yeah,
I
you could do
don't mind
Rosa
it
and Britt
being
there.
there. I think that's a fine spot for it. Then you do the ladder match. Then you do Anna and Ty. Then you do Moxley and Danielson. Then you do the 6-man, and then you go into the main event.
Okay.
I think that's a lot better placement of the card.
I like that, yeah.
Because
and I especially the
split.
Rosa and Brit one. Putting that one after the dog collar, early on made sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need to know, like, matches that are inherently going to have a lot of energy, you can place those later because you know the crowd will be hot for them, like a ladder match, like Moxley and Danielson. You know those matches, no matter what, will at least have a decent amount of energy. And if they don't, like Moxley and Danielson, if there's not a lot of crowd energy, it's fine. Their in-ring work can make up for it. Jade and Ty doesn't need a lot of energy. You know it's going to be a little dead, so use that as a spot in between matches that do need the energy, because you need the energy for the ladder match. You need the energy for Britt and Rosa. You need it for Punk and MJF. So whenever you're pacing a card like that, you need to know, like, okay, here is what we need to let the audience, like, you need to let the crowd chill for a little bit. And when you start with 3 matches that get the audience exhausted in an hour 20 minutes, that's not a good way to start your show. That is too high energy, and they do it consistently. The last few pay-per-views, they've done it consistently.
Yeah, some are better than others. They consistently misplace the women's matches. They do that all the time.
Every fucking pay-per-view.
It's
How
so
do you
true.
always, like, just start with the women's match. Do it first or do it second, do it third. Like, stop putting it 5th or 6th when the audience is dead, because they're
unless you're main
dead.
eventing it, do it early.
Like, they should have had, like, Britt and Sheeta at Double or Nothing should have opened the show. I know why you did Hangman. I don't give a shit. You open with Britt winning the title. The crowd wanted to see Britt win the title, but they were dead for that match.
And I feel like the women's matches in particular need hot crowds. Do you remember when Riho won the title the first time against Nyla Rose? That was the inaugural episode of AEW Dynamite. That was my favorite match on that show. Not even because the match was particularly that good, but the crowd was so into it. And like you had like like when you place a women's match perfectly, it's like magic. I don't know why they always do that.
They need to also, I do think they need to get better at possibly dropping matches from cards and going a little shorter. Like,
they could have switched some matches from the buy-in.
Yeah, you did not need Hook and QT Marshall.
No, I think they just wanted to get Hook in front of the crowd.
Yeah, and that was the point. Like, that was the buy-in was mainly for the people there to see certain people, but you did not, like, I would have just done, because especially since, like, that Dynamite was not great. The Go Home show? Was like, the Go Home Dynamite was not great. And you could have moved. I actually would have taken some of those matches and put it on tonight. Like, I would have done Chris and Layla tonight. And, like, I don't know how that.
Well, the problem with doing Chris and Layla tonight is they wanted to get the Thunder Rosa.
Yeah. So that is actually what I would have kept on the buy-in. I would have kept that on the buy-in. I wouldn't have done the 6-man. I didn't think it needed to happen at all. Like, at all. That match
I didn't care about that match. Yeah.
That match had no purpose. I would have moved the 6-man. I would have moved that to tonight. I think that's a match that could have been on tonight instead of something. Like, you did. I know, like, I'm fine with Paige and Dante. I don't think it was. I don't think they needed it. I thought it was a very big mistake. It was out of
I see
nowhere a
why they did
championship
it. I
match.
see why they did it. I think they wanted to acknowledge
Oh,
or transition Dante Martin out of the singles division. Also, if he
but
was
he's.
really second in the rankings, you can't just not, you know. It would
I
feel
mean, you
kind of
can. You can not do it, but then like, there's a lot of things that happened tonight that I didn't like. There were a lot of promos, and
yeah.
I'm fine with a lot of promos, but there were too many. There were a lot that went too
They were
long.
trying to rush and tie up loose ends after Revolution. That's what it
Yes.
felt like.
Yeah, there's differences you could have made. I would have done the 6-man tonight instead. That's something I definitely would have done. I would have you could have done Hook and QT on Rampage and take out one of the matches that was on Rampage. Take out like the
Yeah.
Keith Lee match with JD Drake. Or
You
just
can
or you could still do Hook and QT, but I think something you could have moved onto the buy-in was you could have moved Ty and Jade, or you could have put that on Dynamite or on Rampage because that had no heat and the crowd was dead. You didn't
yeah.
need that on the card, and you get that,
Apart
and you
from
get
that gnarly like chair shot Jade took, that was nice.
yeah. I mean, I think that and the 6-man were the two things you should have cut from the card.
Hmm.
And then I would have cut some of the stuff off the buy-in, and then you make it like a 3.5-hour show in total. Do
Yeah.
30 like do 25-30 minutes of buy-in, do 3 hours of main card. I think that's perfect.
That's fair, yeah. And then like a 3 hours of main card, I think you could have even with like when you have that wiggle room, you could have given like a little more time to some matches if you really needed to,
Mm-hmm.
with that as well. Um, did
The other thing
you?
I'll
I
the
wanted
other
to.
thing I'll
Yeah, go ahead.
say, the other thing I want to point out is don't do the stupid. Just do Chris and Layla tonight. Have that be a number one contender, and the winner fights Thunder Rosa next week for her title, and just have Rosa beat Britt.
I would
Just have
not
her win
have done
there.
that. I would not have done that.
I would have, and then just have Rosa's first defense be in San Antonio. Have her come home with the belt. I'm still not a fan of her losing. Like because it's not clean. It was not a clean loss, which is why I'm a little bit more accepting of it. But
I
I
would have liked
still
her to
don't
win at
like it.
Revolution. I just didn't. It didn't. They didn't set it up in a way where it was best.
And
You
that's
get
their
what I'm trying to
fault.
say?
They
Yeah,
then they
that's their
should and then
fault.
they
And
should have
so
set it up correctly.
because I know like we are on camera saying, "Oh, have Thunder Rosa win the belt at Revolution. She's gonna beat Britt." And then like when we built up to it and it came time, I was like, "This doesn't feel." Keep it on her. Keep it on Britt. Have her lose San Antonio. You'll get a bigger moment, but who knows? But yeah, if they would have set it up right, the Revolution win would have been great.
It's their own downfall. Have
It's yeah.
Britt beat like the contract signing was good. I was getting a little hype, and then the tag team match. Just have like you don't pin Rosa, pin Mercedes, but have Britt just lay her out.
And Thunder Rosa pinned Britt. Which, by the
Yeah,
way, should it like you don't
pin
usually
Jamie,
if you
pin
have like the
Jamie.
challenger look strong in the go home show, that's usually a hint that they're gonna lose at the pay per view.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh, yeah,
Have let Rosa hit the hit her finisher, but then you have Britt come in and like have her hitting on Jamie, and then have Britt curb stomp the hell out of Rosa, but Mercedes is still the legal person, and you just have her then curb stomp and lockjaw Mercedes, and then you lay them out and you hold your championship over her and whatever. Like there's a lot of different options, and then even with this, like if you wanted to go this route, that's fine. Do the tag match then at Revolution. Like I
yeah.
would have been
You
fine
could
with
have
that
done that.
if you wanted this match to be in San Antonio, just say the whole time this is where the match is going to happen.
Yeah, especially because I mean, Thunder Rosa's the number one contender. They had a contract signing. You could have had Thunder Rosa put in the contract, maybe in some kind of screwy way. Oh, by the way, we have to do it in my hometown. So that's even more of a disadvantage, which Britt alluded to. She was like, you have all of San Antonio behind you. So if they put that into the contract signing, that would have made sense too. And
I
then you
don't
just
even
do the
think you
tag
need
match at
to
Revolution.
Well, all you need to do is just have the blood feud, do Jamie and Mercedes, but do Jamie and Mercedes before I would like where they did the tag match on Dynamite. Do Jamie and Mercedes there, and then they brawl and they set up a tag match, and that tag match is then at Revolution instead of a title match because they don't need they didn't need to do that the contract signing. Just don't do the contract signing there. But Rosa still has her title shot. It's just not going to happen at Revolution. And then they win. You can still have Rosa win, have her beat Jamie, have her pin Jamie at Revolution. So that way she still gets the pop there and she looks strong. And then that's what she gets is that her matches. And then now that she's pinned Jamie and she says, "Hey Britt, we're not going to fight this week, but where we're going to be next week in my hometown, and I'm going to fight you in a steel cage."
That's not bad. That anything would have been better than what they did.
Yeah, I hated it. Not a fan of it. Their women's booking still cannot get correct. Like they do good for a few weeks, and then it's shit again. Her Britt's reign has been garbage because of the booking.
Oh, I don't know about that. I liked the Ruby Soho feud.
The Ruby Soho feud was like 3 weeks.
Yeah, but I liked it. Is what I'm trying to say.
All the feuds have been 3 weeks.
She feuded with Red Velvet for 3 weeks.
Nyla Rose over a hamburger.
That was
Red Velvet was 2 to 3 weeks. Statlander was 2 weeks. Statlander was 2 weeks.
Didn't she feud with Riho very briefly?
That was 2 to 3 weeks.
That was like 2, maybe even 1 week.
Abaddon 2 to 3 weeks. Anna Jay
that was a Halloween
2 weeks.
The Thunder Rosa feud has technically lasted a year, but they
didn't do shit until like the last 2 weeks.
They stayed away from each other. So yeah, it's I don't know. I feel like during her time as champion, I feel like she did create certain moments, but I think it's fair to say that it was a little bit underwhelming. I am honestly, just because of the way that things have gone in the past when AEW takes the title off the women, they tend to fade into obscurity. I am so concerned. Like, what is Britt gonna do? Like, what's she gonna? I'm so even though I feel like her character is good enough to withstand that. I am very curious to see where the hell do you go from here if Britt's not the champ. Like what do you do with her character?
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things. We've gone for a lot longer than we should have because there were just so many tangents off of stuff on the show.
So yeah. I got nothing else to say. I liked that episode of Dynamite, but it wasn't the best. I go 6.5 out of 10.
Yeah. I would say probably around the same. It wasn't anything like great, but it worked. It did its job.
It worked, yeah. That's all.
Yeah, set stories. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next time, and let's ring that bell.